Travis. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. I don't know if we covered everybody there, but we're back for our 33rd playlist. And this will be our second annual holiday spectacular. It's been a year and a half now. But Jose, Dave, and I, three old friends, the Music Never Ends playlist. We're at it again. This time we looked at Christmas stuff. Some really good songs. This one is more, I guess it's more of a cynical bite to some of the songs, and some realistic stuff and some beautiful music. So let's just get right to it. I started out, last playlist, a year ago, Dave ended with Feliz Navidad. And so I thought there's another, that was by, who is that?
Not Jose Feliciano.
I keep wanting to say Freddie Fender. Yes, Jose Feliciano. Whatever. Sorry. But this was, my version was Elvez, who's a guy, his birth name is Robert Lopez. He's from Los Angeles. Again, it's Feliz Navidad. And this will relate to the next song. He started out in his early teens with a band who was heavily influenced by the Ramones, but he went on to open for tons of different bands. So basically, many of his shows, he dresses up like Elvis, and he says he's an Elvis interpreter, not an Elvis impersonator. But then they cover all kinds of songs, and often they will use, put the lyrics of one song, like say a Led Zeppelin song, to a different melody. And that kind of applies here. It starts out, and then in the middle also is the song Public Image by Public Image Limited, which is pretty far from Feliz Navidad in its original form, but I think he makes it work. I mean, I like going into that the way he does, and then it's a real upbeat version. There's a video out there if you want to get in fact, I'll put it with this playlist. I'll put the YouTube video out there. But you get an idea of what they're up to. So I just put it on because it was fun. I thought it was a good transition from last year. Just real quick, the next couple songs, the Ramones, Jose put on, Merry Christmas, I Don't Want to Fight, and then Hell of a Holiday, Pistol Annies. So we'll get to those. What do you, I guess you were next, Jose. What do you have to say for yourself?
First, what do I have to say for myself? I say Merry Christmas. Now, now this was definitely a different play because we switched this year. Because last year it was combined. I think we mentioned this combined winter Christmas. So this year was strictly Christmas, and I found it interesting that I kind of looked at last year's and you look at this one, and we had a lot more cheery Christmas songs. Not that we didn't have some that really veered towards some cynicism, but we did a lot of good ones. And Feliz Navidad's always a good way to start any Christmas goings, even if it is Elvez, even if my mom's like, "What is going on there?" And then to follow it up, because it's when we do these, and I think Dave has said this before, it seems like everyone has a Christmas album. And I was thinking about this. It's probably the quickest way to make money is make a Christmas album or make a live album or a greatest hits album, right? Those three are usually viable options. And if the Ramones have a Christmas album, you know that it's a little out of control. So yeah, I followed it up because I wanted to feel that same vibe, kind of, and it really isn't. Again, we think so much punk rock is this and that or whatever it is, and it's just a fun-loving little song. I don't want to fight. It's definitely a different take. And of course, Dave really went really punk on us with a Hell of a Holiday, which I only say that because it sounds like they want to be so rebellious, but it's such a nice, fanciful song. But it sounds like they're using the word hell, so that that man, that's right. We're rebellious, kind of, in a disguise sort of way. So no, I enjoyed how it all started.
Merry Christmas, everyone. Yeah, I echo that. Last year's Christmas thing was a little little seeped in some cynicism, I think, in Christmas spirit, but yet it had some Christmas classics on it that were maybe more Christian based. This one had none of that. This was just a fun playlist. I know there's a lot of spiritual gospel related kind of Christmas songs. We'll probably have to do a separate playlist just for that, because this one was chock full of just having the Christmas spirit, Santa Claus, ho ho ho, presents, what's it mean to you, the holiday time and everything like that. So yeah, I love the Feliz Navidad. I put it on the last playlist, so I like this one too. Just a different version of it, but to get you in that Christmas spirit. I always like the song because it does makes me feel a little cultural where I'm doing the Spanish kind of thing, but then I can come back to the English, I want to wish you a merry, so that's good. That's cool. I like that. The Ramones, I wouldn't think if you ever said, hey, the Ramones have a Christmas album or a Christmas song, I'd be like, huh? Really? But as Jose said, everyone has one. So I wasn't familiar with the Ramones song, but I kind of liked it. I thought it went real good after the Feliz Navidad. And then, as we've said before on these playlists, sometimes it's just the fun of this is researching and finding songs and finding new artists and finding different things that we put on. And sometimes we just stick to our tried and true. Oh, I know that one. I know that one. But this time, in researching, I came across this song, hell of a holiday by Pistol Annies, and I didn't know anything about them, but they're kind of like the Chicks. They're kind of like a trio, girls singing country gospel kind of songs, and didn't even realize this, but Miranda Lambert, who's a solo artist on her own, is in this trio, in this group, and so I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I think the first three songs really get you pumping and get you in the holiday spirit.
Yeah, and I just going back to the Ramones, I didn't really think of Elvis, and honestly, I don't think of the Ramones, despite what they've done, as really as a punk band. But I know they're in that. It's kind of like they're punk to me, like the Pogues are punk. It's like they're kind of some of the same audiences like that. But that's Elvis. It's really the public image part. Johnny Rotten, John Lydon. They have their punk cred, but I thought those went well together. And then the Hell of a Holiday, Pistol Annies. One thing that I'm sure we can all relate to this. The song is about how once you get to Halloween, it's like all the holidays start blending together. And I've seen this in my very neighborhood. There's some people that put up these skeletons. They have a giant skeleton and a skeleton. I don't know what it is. It looks like maybe it's a deer. And so they don't take those down from Halloween. Halloween, they put up, they just put the Christmas stuff on top of it. So that's kind of interesting. And also the other thing is they started playing at HEB grocery stores. They started playing Christmas music before Thanksgiving. I walked in one day and they're having this big promotional thing. You can get pictures with Santa and all this stuff. And I was shopping for Thanksgiving dinner. I was just like, it's so interesting how that all kind of becomes one big, and New Year's too. So I like to keep them separate, but anyway. So from that, I went to kind of because it was a new song, but Christmas at the Airport by Nick Lowe. That came out in the last couple of years. He's backed by a band called Los Straitjackets, who are they're kind of a surf band. They wear suits, business suits, and then Mexican wrestling masks. So it's an interesting image. And Jose and I saw Nick Lowe last weekend. That's part of the reason I still am having voice problems. But at Antone's, and these guys backed him up, and he did this song, and it was a lot of fun. The song basically being stuck at the airport on Christmas and kind of having a laugh at that, So he even introduces like, here's my first Christmas song, and it's cynical, something like that. So that word seems to fit. And then, yeah, go ahead, Jose. What was your song after that?
First, let me say, I think you made some great points with Hell of a Holiday about how it all starts coming together. And then I think it leads into the next three songs. Is I think these three songs were the kind of the wins the award for best transitions or best, we're all on the same in the same thinking, because we get Hell of a Holiday, which talks about coming, and then we get Christmas at All, which someone getting ready to go to Christmas and then stuck in an airport getting ready to go. And I've got Paul Simon's Getting Ready for Christmas, which is again is a different viewpoint, people getting ready for Christmas and in different locations. Obviously he talks about a nephew in Iraq, so we're getting all these different perspectives. And then Dan Fogel, we're at Christmas time. What do we do at Christmas time? So, really a beautiful, beautiful song, So I think they all kind of all encapsulates all three of them as far as discussing how we get ready for Christmas, what happens when we're getting ready for Christmas, and what we do at Christmas. And I think all those three songs blended so well together, So yeah, I enjoyed them all. And obviously, I enjoyed the Nick Lowe concert. Let me just say that it's fantastic to watch. It's even better when you're standing in, like Mike said, some rooms about as big as your closet, and you're like 3 feet away from the guy. But you get really good to appreciate someone like him, who didn't have. And I asked Mike this, and I'm sorry I'm getting off on the tangent, but some might consider him, a one-hit wonder because they know "Cruel to Be Kind." But he's had, like Mike pointed out, has had some other songs, and his longevity has sustained, and obviously he still has it. But so anyway, I just thought I'd throw that out there. But I thought, again, all three of these songs meshed well together.
Well, I've never been stranded at the airport at Christmas time, but I can imagine how that would kind of suck. But it was I like the song because I think he talks about, the doors are locked and bolted, let the festivities begin. The terminal was seething without much Christmas cheer. So I found myself in an empty closet and bedded down in there. And when I woke up much later, I was quite alone. So everyone was already cleared out, and he's like, there's really nobody there. But he still has to kind of make the best of it because he's stranded there for Christmas. So I thought it was clever. I thought it was a good song. I liked. Again, I don't know a lot of Nick Lowe songs, but this one was a good one, and especially not just because it had Christmas in the title, but it invoked images of being stuck there without your family, or being there during the holidays, and being in a lonely airport in this case, because it had cleared out. So I thought that was cool. The Paul Simon one was, I didn't really know what to make of it at first the first time I heard it, because it's a little different. I mean, and that's what Paul Simon does. He changes his genres. He's done the stuff with I can't even think of the name. They did the Graceland stuff, and they did the Spirit in the Sky stuff. He did the different, he's done these different things, and I wasn't familiar with this record or the song. He's got a lot of different voices and stuff going on and singing in this song, and but I thought it was pretty good. It was a good change of pace. Like you said, these three songs kind of brought it down from the first three, which was good. And then I put on the Dan Fogelberg song, and I think of all the songs on the whole playlist, it's probably the only one that has any tinge of Christianity and kind of the normal type of Christmas song that you'll hear. It's a little kind of like a Christmas dance, Christmas jig, kind of, if you will, whatever. But I thought it was kind of neat. Anyway, I had never heard it before, but I figured he's got a whole Christmas album, and I just picked one of the songs off it and thought it would go well. So, but yeah, these three went good together.
The Paul Simon, I didn't know what to make of it. I'd heard it before, but it's interesting when you're listening. There's these voices that cut in and out, and then part of a verse is the guy saying stuff. And it began, as I listened to it more, it became clear it was like he had used, and I looked this up, he'd used a sermon from back long, long ago, and kind of based the rhythm of the song on that. And so when it's not, I don't even call it call and response, but it was, the pastor or minister or whatever would say a few lines about, not just Christmas Day, but right now, how are you living? You could be dying, live right or whatever. And so, and then the congregation will go like, amen or whatever. And so you kept hearing those kind of things cut in, which I thought was really interesting. And it's a good song. The Dan Fogelberg, yeah, exactly, the jig. That's what I was gonna say. It's like I wanted to dance a jig listening to it. Drink some wassail or what have you. It really does have that kind of old Christmassy sound to it. And of course, you're right, it does bring in some of the faith-based stuff. I actually disagree with you a little bit. There's a song you put on later that has a little bit of that too, but we'll get to whether there's whatever. Anyway, we'll get to that. I was kind of, rather than relate song, a lot of times we connect songs, we choose songs based on the theme. In this case, it's all Christmas, but or similar things about Christmas. For instance, this next song I put on, I did more because it was just the sound, the upbeat kind of, and this was soul. This is Stevie Wonder, What Christmas Means to Me. Is that right? Yeah. And I've always loved that song. He has a whole Christmas album, and there's some really good songs on there, but for some reason, this one, it always just like, sometimes hymns can be, or Christmas songs can be kind of solemn, and it makes sense, or, reverent maybe is a better word. And so it's nice to have something in there that really picks it up, snap your fingers. And yeah, that's why I picked that. I love Stevie Wonder. Shouldn't be a surprise. I put a few of his songs on now. Then after that, James Brown, Santa Claus Goes Straight to the Ghetto. And I've known that song well for a long time too. And then let's see, did I miss one here? Oh, Tar and Wells. And that was the other song I was referring to. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I'll talk, excuse me, I'll talk more about that after you guys talk about your songs and such.
Well, let's say, I don't want to say is our little add our funk and soul to the playlist. Although maybe not Dave. Dave took some left turns here. I'm just gonna give him credit.
No, it has horns, and it's got
It
the
does.
funk, and it's got the Motown sound.
He's defending. I love it. That's what it's true. But yeah, we do have a lot of that. This portion is definitely that. And some social commentary, really from James Brown, Santa Goes Straight to the Ghetto, it's just, and I think we had it in the last one where, there's always going to be songs about people who are not as well off as others. And, we have some songs that touch on it, but, What Christmas Means to Me, Stevie Wonder, of course, as just a classic song. And there was like Mike said, there's several other Stevie Wonder songs out there about Christmas. And then, of course, I went with James Brown, and then Dave, go ahead.
I didn't know this song. I in researching and listening to some songs beforehand, though, I came across this one, Torn Wells, and I didn't even realize that it was a cover of a NSYNC boy band kind of song. I guess they're the ones who wrote it. I surmised that from looking at when it says, who wrote the song, and I saw Justin Timberlake. He's the only one I could have picked out of the group that was in NSYNC. So I figured that's what the group was. And this Torn Wells one, I don't even know who he was, but he had that same Stevie Wonder, James Brown kind of vibe, but he had the upper register where he's saying really high, like a Michael Jackson kind of thing, And I don't know, I just dug on this song a lot, and it just seems like it's a fun song. It's upbeat. It talks about all the normal stuff. The snow's glistening on the trees, and the stockings are hung, and waiting for Santa to arrive, and everybody knows it's Christmas time, and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't know, it's just a fun, upbeat song, and probably become a holiday tradition of mine now to find that Torn Wells song.
Yeah, I forgot that the NSYNC part. I didn't know that they did that before, but we talked about it when we did the playlist, the Torrin Wells. And yeah, I'm making too big a deal of this, but the he does say in there, God sends down his love, or God sends his love. And there's another line in there. So it's nice to have a nod to that on this holiday. But yeah, it's I've actually heard the NSYNC one too, and it's not a bad song, and it is very upbeat, which is great. I'm always up for that. Before that, the James Brown. Okay, yeah, you could argue that you're going from this one upbeat to down to another upbeat, but actually, I think we need like last playlist. There was a Jethro Tull song about just remember when you're celebrating and drinking your wine, all those people that are out there in poverty and such. And this is not the only song in here that James Brown go straight to the ghetto. There's another one coming up that touches on that too, at least one more. And we need to remember that. I mean, I think I said this last year, of course we need to remember it every day, but this time, especially when we are so much about, family and celebrating and all these warm things, that there's people out there in the cold or in zones of combat or whatever. So I think and I love that song anyway. I've heard it for years. It's got that kind of funky soul to it. Yeah, so I went, and this kind of maybe goes better with the James Brown, but I went on to the Kinks, Father Christmas, followed by Santa on the Roof by Reverend Horton Heat, and Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy by Travis Tritt. So the Father Christmas, if you listen to it just kind of on the surface, at least the beginning, it's Ray Davies' character is singing and out in front of a store playing Santa or whatever, and some kids come and beat him up and rob him. But past that first thing, it's kind of the backstory. It's like their dad's out of work. They don't give all the toys to the rich kids. We need food and money and things like that to get by. And then he has that line at the very end. It's like, I wish you a Merry Christmas. Hope you have a good time. Just remember that those have nothing when you're drinking down your wine. So I've always liked that about that song. It's it's not such a cheerful subject, but they are rocking out. So I guess that balances it. So Jose, what about you?
Yeah, right. No, I agree. That song is really, again, like this is an extension of the last three songs, and all these three songs, and I'll point out, they all deal with fathers in some different relationship, whether it's Father Christmas. And then I did Reverend Horton Heat, Santa on the Roof. I think Mike pointed out, they're from Texas. I actually saw them in concert at some point somewhere down the road, but I just thought it was a fun little song about, initially I thought this song was kind of like, oh, why lie to the kid? Why did they? But it's almost like it's almost like he's about to figure out that Santa's his dad but then his dad's like, no, you need to go to sleep. So it's a kind of a nice little ditty, I thought, Initially I thought it was gonna be something like he figures it out. It was that's like, no, you need to be asleep on Christmas, but he also needs to know the truth. At some point it's important. He needs to know the truth, which I think is kind of funny in the song. And then of course Santa Look a Lot like that, Travis Tritt. That song's been played a lot, but I'll let Dave talk about it.
Yeah, I liked all three of these songs in combination. I don't know what it is sometimes with our vibe, but whoever puts that first one on, and then we go, oh, you're gonna do this? Well, I got this and this, and we tend to do that a lot. But I think that's the beauty of our friendship and our music playlist ability. But I the King song, it starts out with those bells, and you kind of think it's going to be like a little fun jingle song or whatever. But No, if you really get into the lyrics of it, that dad's out of work, and we don't want these cute little toys. Just give them a job, and we just want your money. They'll take the money, not the toys. And so kind of a strong message there. And then yeah, then this I had never heard the who is it? Reverend Horton Hears a Who, or what is it? What is it? Horton? No, it's not Dr. Seuss. But it's a cool song. Like I said, it's the same kind of thing. I was like, oh, I hear the reindeers on the roof, and Dad's getting the ladder, and what's going on up there. And I woke up, and so it kind of weaves into that whole Christmas story where we know where kids wake up and they see Santa, or they see Mommy kissing Santa, or whatever it is. That would have been another good song to put on. And so when you put on that one, and then I put on the Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy, and I didn't realize it was a Buck Owens original song or something, or he did it way back in the day. But same kind of thing. It was like, why? Either Santa looks a lot like Daddy, or I got to tell Mom that or tell my dad on him that he's messing with my mom, kind of thing, and so I thought it was a kind of a cute song. And again, I think all three of those went well together, and playlist gold.
Yeah, I do agree they went well together, although sometimes we do these in rounds of three. Each one of us takes a turn, then it goes back to the first person again. But sometimes there's overlap between a song or two in one round and the next one. I kind of think that happened here for whatever reason. And so it's those two songs you mentioned. I'll just talk about them first. The Santa on the Roof, Dad on the Rooftop. I can't really say any more than you said about it. It's a rite of passage for those families who celebrate, who have the whole Santa Claus myth. I remember, well, I was terrified of Santa, because this guy who could come in my house could go down chimneys, whatever. And I remember waking up in the middle of the night, just scared to death. Santa's going to be peeking in my room. But yeah, I knew a lot before my parents knew, because I didn't want to hurt their feelings. So I pretended that, I still believed, until one time they figured it out. So anyway, same with the next song, Santa Looked a Lot Like Daddy. I knew the Buck Owens version. I don't know why, I've heard it on the radio, I guess, when they have the stations will take over for a couple of weeks, just all Christmas stuff. And then my first song of the next group is by They Might Be Giants, which I'm surprised that we haven't put. I know you know him a little bit, Jose. And yeah, I've listened to him for years. I'm surprised this is the first song of them that's made it on here, but it's called Santa's Beard. And basically the story, it's another somebody, about the disguise of Santa. So it's about this guy, his buddy comes over every Christmas, and he's really hitting on his wife, and his wife is, playing along. He's mad at his friend wearing Santa's beard. I can't think the lyrics, but she's sitting on his lap, which people do with Santa Claus, but it's a different connotation. So that was my first song. I've always liked that. It's off an album called Lincoln, which, check it out. It's a really good record. Probably my favorite of theirs. There's some other contenders, and then Jose went into Snow Miser versus Heat Miser, which he can talk. I won't say any more about that. It's a song, two songs actually I know well, and fond memories of. And then we go into Santa Claus and His Old Lady, Cheech and Chong, which we will. I'll just say from the outset, I love that. But we'll get into that as we take our turns here.
Yeah, this was the humor portion of our Christmas for sure. And we get all those, yes, the poor don't have anything. Yes, now let's make fun of Christmas. Veering off a little, but no, I thought it also, your show, They Might Be Giants. I think I saw them open for Beck. I used to think they opened for. I thought they would open for because I know I saw him. Now I can't remember Hootie and the Blowfish, but I think that was Bare Naked Ladies. I always get those two kind of confused. I don't know why, but I do. But They Might Be Giants is a fantastic group, and that song is really pretty funny. So that's why I went with Heat Miser. No, that's my Christmas. My favorite Christmas. Our Christmases growing up. If you grew up in the 70s and 80s, was watching all these claymation, fun-loving, Santa Claus is coming to town, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and it became kind of iconic. And those, but my favorite was always The Year Without a Santa, where Santa decides people don't have enough Christmas spirit, so he's not going to do Christmas. As Mike said, it's kind of selfish, dude. Dude, what? Because you don't think millions of kids suffer because of you? But I'm just kidding. But it was always my favorite, and of course, a lot of people know this. They have the Heat Miser and the Cold Miser, and they have to make a deal with them. But I always loved that song, and I always loved those characters. I always thought they were just hilarious. So that was just kind of my Christmas thing. And then Dave, of course, with Santa Claus and his old lady, which again, as Mike said, could have been the highlight in some ways, and it's hilarious. Yes, it's not the most politically correct at moments, and yes, Dave is really touching into his cultural side now. Before he was with Police Not Without, now he really is with Cheech and Chong. So, Dave, take it away.
So yeah, before I get into talking about that particular song, I will say, um, yeah, we kind of got on a Santa Claus kick, and I think it was like 8 out of the last 11 songs were either had Santa Claus in the title or were pretty much talking about Santa Claus. So that's kind of an interesting thing. Maybe we could do a whole playlist just on Santa Claus. We forgot to. There's a lot of other songs about with great Saint Nick in it. Um, but I wasn't familiar with the Santa's beard. I thought it was kind of very humorous, as you said. These three songs in a row were just let's do some either humor or National Lampoon or whatever we're gonna do. Throw on that kind of stuff. But then Jose, I hadn't heard the. You chastise us. I'm not sure if I remember seeing that. I probably have seen the show, the Christmas song, the Christmas show you're talking about, but for the life of me, it's not like right up there with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer and all the other classics, Charlie
Santa Claus is
Brown.
coming to town.
No, it's not. Yeah,
The Burgermeister.
I'm sure I've seen it, but anyway, the song. Now that I've heard the song, I probably need to go back and make sure I've seen the show as well. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun song. And then so with you guys putting on some fun songs, I just said, you know what, let's just go for it. And I remembered back in my day, in my childhood days, listening to the radio. We're pretty much FM radio is where I heard this one. It would come on every now and then around Christmas time. And if you were lucky, you'd have your cassette tape in there at the time and could go, oh, I'm going to hit record so I can record it. But otherwise, you didn't get it on an album. You didn't get it on it was just if you heard it on the radio once or twice. And so you heard parts of it, right? And you remember certain parts of the song. And it always made me laugh. Cheech and Chong, obviously, they're a niche of what they do, and the movies they made and the things that they did, their whole shtick of being kind of drug culture and all of that kind of stuff. But they were funny. They were funny. In this case, he tells a story about one of them. Chong doesn't know who Santa Claus is, and Cheech says, "Oh, let me tell you the story," and they don't get it quite right. They do their own little spin on what they think Santa Claus is at the time, and that's what makes it so funny. But anyway, yeah, I thought it was time to put something like that on, and probably won't thank me till next year when we're listening to the playlist and that comes out of nowhere and we go, wow, yeah, I remember that song. It's pretty funny. But anyway, I like it. It makes me laugh every time I hear it.
Yeah, I go backwards.
From the man who brought us the streak.
Yeah, and I guess I'll go backwards a little bit on this because it's funny you mentioned that. Back in that may have been about, I don't know what year that came out. It was roughly back then, the early 70s. And it was a staple on album-oriented rock stations. You wouldn't hear it nowadays, I don't guess, at least not on broadcast radio. But or, as opposed to streaming. But I always love that song. It's like the blind leading the blind. They're both pretty clueless, which pretty much sums up all their comedy. And I always wonder who's the straight man with that duo because they both kind of lead each other on. Um, Chong is like talking about the Santa Claus, the Salvation Army Santa Claus out in front of a store. He's like, "Oh yeah, I played with that dude. He didn't know anything." And then Cheech, I don't know what to say about him, but yeah. So I love that song. It's kind of like Alice's Restaurant. You once a year it would come around. I think you still hear that on the radio, but anyway. So and then the other one, what was it? Oh, Snow Miser versus Heat Miser. Yeah, I remember that too. I think the duo of guys who put those together, that you all mentioned a few of them, Rankin and Bass.
All right.
And they'd have all kinds of famous people like Mickey Rooney did a voice, and Fred Astaire was in there. Burl Ives was in one. But I'll tell you, there's something always about, I don't know, the pacing of it or the way the little claymation or whatever it was. It always kind of was a little creepy, a little scary. I don't know. I don't
Dude,
know.
I
That's
think
again,
I
it's
think
me.
you have
I was a weird kid.
I think you have problems. You're scared of Santa breaking into your house, and you're scared of the creepy claymation.
I don't want to talk about it.
What about Gumby and Pokey? Are you afraid of them too?
Oh, Gumby and yeah, they're the worst.
The
like
worst. They
there's
were
like
my favorite toys.
I think maybe if there had been like a laugh track or something, but like Gumby would say something to Pokey, there'd be like silence. And it's like, I don't like that. I don't like that. Anyway, a little more than maybe you need to know about me. So we went into, let's see, well, actually, that was 15, which normally we stop at, but these songs were also short. I think let's see, Santa Claus and His Old Lady was 6.5, was about the longest on here, but most of them were 2 to 4 minutes. And so we had room for 3 more. And so I started with Party for Santa Claus by Lord Nelson, a Calypso song. And then Louis Prima, Jose did Shake Hands with Santa Claus. And then the last one, Dave Melikaliki Maka, I actually think I said it right, with Casey Musgraves with assistance from Zoe Deschanel. So I'll just go into mine right now. I've always liked this one. I like it's he's from well, it's either Trinidad or Tobago. I think they may be one government for 2 islands. I'm not really sure, but the music is very similar. And so this is Lord Nelson. It's is basically maybe the opposite of Snow Miser, Heat Miser. Let's no. I mean where Santa's taken he's like, I've had it. People don't respect him. This song is like, come on, let's treat Santa right. Let's get him, forget the sleigh. Let's get him a limo with the driver and throw him a party with some chicks, things like that. Why not let him through the door or at least the window? Why does he have to come down the chimney? So, and that calypso beat, it's fun. So
Oh
that's why I
yeah,
picked that one.
yeah. This is the tropical portion. Close it out with the trouble, like where we all really want to be in heat. Although I guess we are in heat. I guess it was 55 today, so I don't want to scare Dave.
Mhm.
So we're in our winter. It was funny. I was listening to the weather, and the weather goes like, "Oh, first day of winter, it's 65." You're just like, "Oh my god, that's cold in Texas." But all the 3 of these songs I thought really worked well together. Shake Your Hand, Party for Santa. It's just a fun way to kind of end the playlist and enjoy, enjoy it for a little bit. Sometimes you need to enjoy these things. Stop for a moment, enjoy, party with your family, party with your friends, and I think these kind of all capture that essence. And I like the Kelsey, because Casey Musgraves, because obviously it came from some show, and you can hear him tap dancing and stuff, and you're like, oh, I wonder what's going on. But hilarious nevertheless. But
We'll have to put that on the video when we put the playlist together. We'll have to make sure it's the video of that.
I tried, I've already done that, and I tried, much to my chagrin, I can't, there's not a video of that. There's a video of her singing it live, but not that performance. So I guess you have to watch the whole special that is from, because there was apparently a TV special. But anyway, go ahead.
Oh yeah. So anyway, all those I thought really worked well together. But I thought it was kind of funny when you're listening to that, you're just tap dancing and you're like, oh, they must be enjoying some fun then. So overall, great picks by all y'all.
Yeah, I think we went into that Calypso Island kind of vibe or whatever with those last three songs. I'm like, I wanted to put a coconut on my head or something and start dancing around like what's her name? Who's the
Miranda?
Carmen Miranda? Yeah, do a little dance where on the first song there, or the Party for Santa Claus, it's like I'd never heard of Lord Nelson, but it's a catchy kind of fun kind of tropical song. And then Jose putting on Shake Hands with Santa Claus again. I never heard that one either. What is he says? If berries are pleasing when they're out of season, shake hands with Santa Claus. I'm like, okay. So I thought that was kind of fun. And then, there's a little bit of a story behind the Mele Kalikimaka thing. As much as this song goes back to like the 50s or something like that, it was originally done by Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters. It wasn't only until I'd say about 2 or 3 years ago that my youngest daughter, Jenna, who's now 20, so she was probably 17, 16, something like that at the time. And this song came on the radio and she I don't know, she just went crazy. Like, what is this? It's so fun. Mele Kalikimaka is the thing, So for the last about 3 years or so, every time we hear this song on the radio, we crank it up. It's kind of like our song, our Christmas song, me and Jenna. So we really get into that. And then I found this version of it with Casey Musgraves, variety show or whatever she was doing with at the time. But so a little different version. Probably everyone's familiar with the original version with Bing Crosby. Both would have went well here, but having that same tropical island vibe, we got to remember they're having Christmas in the tropics just as much as we are here.
Yeah, and just going right into Louis Prima, in a way, it's like if you've heard his other music, the only one that's coming to mind right now is Just a Gigolo, but there are others, and it all has this kind of Italian kind of I don't know what there is to it, but it's is he Italian or was he Italian?
I don't think so.
I don't know where I got that idea. I think he does this one song. It's a Tarantella kind of song, and so I've always thought that. So I'm probably wrong, not meaning to be culturally insensitive, but this has the sound of his other stuff, and I love that stuff. And then the Mele Kalikimaka, I can say it faster every time. That's I knew the Bing Crosby and Andrews Sisters, and I always would put it on playlist because it's kind of campy, especially the Andrews Sisters in the background, and this Hawaiian Polynesian word. It's just interesting. You kind of wonder where that idea came from. So anyway, and this Casey Musgraves, I love her music. She has such a beautiful voice. She does a lot of humor in her music. And again, I want to see the special. And then I got to see her play the New Year's. We got won tickets to a New Year's Eve concert that was headlined by Willie Nelson, who didn't start until after midnight. His show is probably an hour and a half. And so Willie can do it, but we made it through a couple. My wife and I made it through a couple of songs. We're like, let's go on. We've seen enough of Willie for tonight. Where it's our bedtime. But she opened earlier in the show, and it was, I think, only one album out, and really good. And then she's joined by Zooey Deschanel, who's, I guess, a comedian, but also an actress, but also does her own music. And I haven't watched so much, but I guess her big TV thing was The New Girl, which is funny. But she sings on there too. And she's married. I think she's married to M. Ward, the musician. But they did an album together of Brian Wilson songs, which I really enjoy. But she always kind of brings that humor into her music. So I thought this was a great way to wrap it up. I'm sure I say that other times too. We seem to be pretty good at that. And you know, a fun upbeat note at the end. So this may be our last playlist for the year. I don't know if we're going to be able to finish the next one before New Year's, maybe. But anyway, I liked it. I'm glad we've done 2 of these now, and you know, who knows what the next one may be, more reverent or maybe more irreverent. You know, you never can tell with us. So just to end it for myself, just want to say Merry Christmas, Happy Thanksgiving, which Thanksgiving I said Merry Christmas. So just to be fair, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays.
No, I thought this was a great Christmas thing. I always say, because when you walk in department stores and stuff, like if they play these kind of soundtracks, you might be a little more listening to it than the traditionals, but they're never going to do that. But you can always dream about, but there are just literally thousands of Christmas songs. But I think we tend to find some really great gems in all of these and fun ones to listen to. Sure, are we going to listen to them all the time? No, obviously, probably not listen to them till Christmas, but just some fun gems and reminding us, you know, it's like y'all said, reminding us what Christmas is about, what Christmas really means. We kind of touch on it. I think Dave kind of made a good point that there wasn't very many alluding to Christ itself. So maybe we'd have to make a whole new, just one next year, either all religious based or Santa Claus based, one of the 2. So overall, so Merry Christmas, everyone, and I hope y'all enjoy it.
Yeah, but we also left out a lot of things like Rudolph and Frosty the Snowman
Right.
and Jingle Bell Rock and Jingle Bells and Grandma Got Run Over by a Reindeer, a bunch of other songs that are out there that so there's plenty of room for many more Christmas classics. You know, we'll next year we'll just do another one, and wherever it leads us is where it leads us. Sometimes it just depends on what mood we're in and who puts on the first song and who puts on the next song, and then it just morphs into you know, whatever we wanted to do. But again, this one was a good one. I liked it. Sets a good Christmas feeling for the year, and I hope everyone has a great Christmas. Enjoy the family and get together with family if you can. And you know, we just count our blessings that we are able to continue to do this. I count my blessings. I have Jose and Mike as good friends, old friends, and we hope we can keep this going into the foreseeable future. I can't remember how many playlists we did in 2024, but it was probably at least 24 or more, because we were doing about every 2 weeks a playlist. So we probably had 25, 26 playlists, something like that through the year. So keep it up, y'all, and have a Merry Christmas.